has attained unsurpassed success in his 6-year NBA career. However, one goal, one dream remains elusive for Michael Jordan, the dream of an NBA championship. Last year, Detroit accomplished the title at Jordan's expense. A memory Michael is not soon to forget. The Pistons are not about to make Jordan's task easy. 2 straight years, Detroit has eliminated Chicago with their brand of tough, hard-nosed basketball. And now with a 3-2 series lead, the Pistons can put the Bulls away for yet a 3rd time. Tonight, Michael Jordan and his Bulls try to keep their championship hopes alive against a Piston team which stands ready to defend their crown. Dusk is settling into the downtown area of our nation's second city on this first day of June, while 2 miles to the west, in a building they call the Madison Avenue Madhouse, basketball getting ready to be played. Moments ago, the defending world champions, the Detroit Pistons. And right behind them, Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls as they walk into the noisiest arena in the National Basketball Association. 18,600 plus on hand, plus 4 more tonight. Good evening, everybody. I'm Vern Lundquist, and welcome to Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals between Detroit and Chicago. Winner of the series goes on to take on the Trailblazers of Portland. They ousted Phoenix last night. When Detroit and Chicago have gotten together in recent years, the games have been highlighted by flying forearms and a lot of elbows. For example, a year ago tonight, in the playoffs, a Bill Laimbeer inadvertent elbow caught the eye of Scottie Pippen, gave him a concussion. He was out for the game. Last Monday here in Chicago, another Laimbeer elbow. This one caught the chin of Michael Jordan. In Game 5 in Detroit on Wednesday night, Scottie Pippen took down Laimbeer. That flagrant foul today cost Scottie Pippen a $2,000 fine from the NBA league office. I'm joined again tonight by Lenny Elmore. Len, do you expect that high degree of physicality to continue in this Game 6 tonight?
Well, Vern, I certainly expect some physical inside play, but not of the dimensions we just saw. Both teams recognize the import of this game, and they want to keep their key people in. No ejections. Now, Chicago knows that if they don't play their game, they have to hang out the gone fishing sign. Detroit recognizes that going into a 7th game at home, even though they're 16-1 at the Palace in Auburn Hills, in the last 2 years, that one loss came at the hands of the Chicago Bulls, so they know the Bulls are capable in a 7th game.
Chicago in a must-win situation, as Lenny said. What is the key for Chicago tonight as well as for Detroit?
Well, certainly they've been getting the shots that they've wanted, but they haven't been putting them down. You look for them to have more confidence in this building. The other thing is to extend their defense. They've created a lot of turnover situations when they played Games 3 and 4 here. Detroit, on the other hand, will have to ride the back of Isiah Thomas. Here in this building, he penetrated and had a great game in 3 and 4. The other thing is try to get to the free throw line by establishing a big inside game. They've got a big advantage there.
As I said, we have a quartet on hand tonight. Let's meet the remaining 2 members right now, beginning with Lesley Visser.
Heard the Chicago Bulls want to avoid same time last year when they were in this exact same situation. They trailed the Detroit Pistons 3 games to 2. They lost that pivotal 6th game here at home. I just spoke with Phil Jackson, the coach. He said he wants the Bulls to be concerned with 3 things. They need, of course, 33 points at least from Michael Jordan. That's his average. They also want to dominate the offensive boards. And third, they'd like to control the tempo. They don't want Detroit to be able to walk it up the court. Apparently, they're concerned about a tempo of doom. Now let's go to my colleague, Pat O'Brien.
All right, Lesley, thank you very much. The Detroit Pistons have so many things to think about. I made a list for you. Defense, rebounds, Jordan, 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 Jordan. That's the way their list goes. Chuck Daly says the key tonight is offensive efficiency and to play Detroit Pistons basketball and not respond to Michael Jordan basketball. I spoke with every one of these players on this team, and to a man, they realize they are not only playing Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, they are playing 18,676 incredible basketball fans. And so, we're in Chicago, but we don't need O'Hare International Airport. Air Jordan's taking off from Chicago Stadium. Stick around, it's going to be fun.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Basketball Association Eastern Conference Finals is sponsored by Miller Lite, bringing you the exciting conclusion of the Tour de Light. First Brands Corporation, maker of STP oil treatment and son of a gun protectant. And by Jeep and Eagle, official vehicles of the NBA.
Now let's meet the starting lineups for both teams here in Chicago Stadium. For the defending world champions, Dennis Rodman, James Edwards, Bill Laimbeer, Joe Dumars, and Isiah Thomas. And for the Chicago Bulls, Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, Bill Cartwright, Michael Jordan, and John Paxson. The officiating crew tonight, Hugh Hollins, Mike Mathis, and Daryl Garrettson. Chicago, tough to beat at home. They have won 16 in a row. And if you go all the way back to exhibition season, they are 45-5 in games played in Chicago Stadium since last October. But 2 of those 5 defeats administered by the Detroit Pistons. Edwards and Cartwright, and we'll try it again. Home teams have won every game thus far. This is game 6. Detroit leads it 3-2. Scottie Pippen looks inside for Jordan, posting up. Dumars saves it, but he was on the line.
On the line, Chicago.
Michael had the disease up in Detroit the other night. He was only 7 of 19 from the floor as Chicago hit only 33%. The amazing thing, Lenny, is that they hit 48% at home, only 37% on the road.
Boom. Well, Phil Jackson told us yesterday his team is a lot more confident at home. He knows that they're getting good shots, and they told the coaching staff to keep their heads up because they know that they're going to play their game here.
There's the trap. They get it to Laimbeer, gets it back to Isiah Thomas. 10 count underway. Edwards, now Detroit will go into its half-court offense. Laimbeer in the corner. That's a big, big move for Bill Laimbeer. In games 3 and 4 here last weekend, he was 1 of 13. And he had 7 of 13 in game 5 the other night, so he's apparently out of the slump. Cartwright, jump hook. Isiah Thomas guarded by John Paxson. There's the switch. Now Jordan on Dumars. 2 members of the All-NBA defensive team.
We also had a chance to see Isiah get into the paint and people cover up. And it's no different with Joe Dumars. He gets into the paint. The Bulls defense is collapsing. They recognize that that's where the Pistons want to go.
John Paxson. Isiah Thomas goes around the pick, settles for Dumars, who's loose. And it's 6-4.
Well, the Pistons on offense, their goal is to make Michael Jordan work as hard as he possibly can, and if he gambles, they'll make him pay with Joe Dumars.
Michael Jordan played only 39 minutes in game 5. Here's the jump shot by Jordan. He's got 2 baskets. He sat out 3 minutes of game 4, and it was interesting to hear Phil Jackson talk about that. He sat down at his own request. Michael said, or Jackson said, when Michael asked to be taken out of the game, I knew he was depleted. Here's another offensive foul.
Well, certainly Michael Jordan's fatigue comes from having to guard Joe Dumars. And you recognize here in an isolation, the Pistons want Michael Jordan to run by as many picks as he can. You saw 2 right there. Over the course of a game, it has a tendency to take a lot out of you, much like a boxer getting body shots. Ultimately, it wears him down.
Grant passes on Jordan, now cuts inside. The ball tipped out of bounds by Bill Laimbeer. It'll be Chicago's inbound. 8-4, 9:47 to go. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Scottie Pippen, 5 for 20 in Game 5. 0 for 1 in Game 6. Horace Grant for 2.
Well, that's the other job that the Bulls want to do, and that's on the offensive board. They did a great job in Game 4 and also in the last game. They just couldn't put him back in.
James Edwards, who's been in a bit of a slump, he broke out of it to a degree in Game 5, but hadn't played that well in the series. He gets an early 2. Jordan. Got the look in his eye.
And then he's got the bounce in his step, too.
47 points here in Game 3, 42 points here in Game 4. Chicago won the vote. Foul underneath. James Edwards will go to the free throw line, where he has been suffering from anemia. He has really had problems at the free throw line. Bill Cartwright picks up the foul.
Well, certainly Bill Cartwright and the rest of the Bulls team recognize how much work Michael Jordan has to do defensively. Cartwright gets caught helping out on Joe Dumars, trying to help Michael Jordan. An alert pass to James Edwards right there. That's going to keep Bill Cartwright a little more honest.
This has really been an enigma for James Edwards. A 60% free throw shooter throughout the regular season and early in the playoffs. 7 of 23 now in this series.
Well, certainly it's all mental. He's got the same form, the same rhythm, but he just doesn't believe it's going to go down.
12-7. 8 minutes, 50 seconds to go. Quarter number 1. Grant. James Edwards grabs it. Here come the Pistons. Isiah Thomas, pick from Dennis Rodman, who's playing with a special shoe tonight. We'll develop that story in a moment. Rodman suffering from a very sore ankle, injured in Game 4. Dumars and Jordan. Laimbeer. He's now 1 for 2, and Jordan with a rebound. Bill Cartwright. Good defensive job by James Edwards of the Pistons. Thomas, it's a 3-on-2. Isiah Thomas, Paxson. They'll reset.
Well, this is the Piston pace. They'll explore the run if they have an opportunity, but when they get in a half-court set, they're known for precise execution.
Chicago, personal foul, Bill Cartwright.
Bill Cartwright, his second.
The team second.
Non-shooting foul, so the Pistons will take it out of bounds. Second team foul. Will Perdue will give Bill Cartwright an early rest.
Well, in our conversations with Phil Jackson yesterday, he was happy with the defense his team played in Game 5, but he was worried because James Edwards did get off a little bit. He had 13 points last game, a bit more than he had been scoring, and now you see it's paid dividends for the Pistons going to him.
Isiah Thomas blocked by Horace Grant. Dumars, too strong. Paxson to Pippen. Detroit ball.
Speaking of too strong, that pass might have had too much velocity on it, particularly as fast as Horace Grant was moving. But on the defensive end, the Bulls seem to have an answer for that Isiah Thomas penetration that we spoke about at the top of the telecast.
That's Jordan and Dumars again. They find Perdue and Edwards in a wrestling match. That'll be the third team foul, first on Will Perdue.
Well, certainly that's a direct result of the anticipation of physical play here. They're not going to let guys, particularly inside, start pushing and shoving, and the officials aren't going to let the game get away from them.
There's a steal by Michael Jordan, 12-7 at the 7-minute mark. And away from the ball. Garrettson calls a flying elbow.
His first timeout, Chicago.
Foul is on Scottie Pippen. Time has been called. Chicago leads it by 5.
Back at Chicago Stadium, you know, the players aren't the only people who prepare for these games. Daryl Garrettson, one of the NBA referees, said that the NBA referees have to stay in shape during this time, too. A matter of fact, during during their days off, they do interval training. Daryl, who's been a referee for 23 years, said that he goes to a hotel and he trains on a treadmill, and what he does is he runs intervals, 2 minutes of walking, 2 minutes of running, and that imitates the stop and go of a game. As for the mental endurance of dealing with irate fans and coaches, he said, well, that's another story. Vern?
Thanks, Les, and I'm sure he's not unhappy they've got a third official that's been added in recent years. That cuts down on the mileage, Lenny.
Well, certainly Daryl Garrison has been at this a very long time, so he should know how to kind of cut corners here, develop all the angles on this floor.
Just under 7 minutes to go. Isiah Thomas, Michael Jordan, Dumars rather. He comes to his left. There's Thomas cutting with Paxson following him. James Edwards.
That time defensively, interesting matchup. Michael Jordan playing Bill Laimbeer down on the post as Scottie Pippen and John Paxson were playing outside.
Purdue for two.
Any scoring from Will Purdue is gravy for the Bulls. He's there to play some defense and try to contain the big guys.
Edwards again. Purdue mistimed his leap, and Dennis Rodman chases down the loose ball. Back to Laimbeer. Isiah Thomas. That's for two. Isiah, who had 2 big games in defeats here. Interesting. He's averaged 31 points in the 2 losses and only 8 points a game in the 3 wins.
And it was his penetration that did it. But defensively, he's been there.
Rodman with another rebound. Boy, what a big game he had in game 4. 20 and 20. 20 points and 20 rebounds. Thomas, that's for 3. Grant out-hustles Rodman for the rebound. Nice speed pass. Back to Paxson from Grant. Got it. There's another bonus for them, Lenny. John Paxson's been only hitting 35%.
And certainly the Bulls exhibited patience there. A nice inside-outside game. Waited for the double team and hit the open man.
There's the pick set by James Edwards. Michael Jordan fights through it. That's off the mark.
You got James Edwards fading on that shot. It's not the type of shot he wants in the post.
Michael Jordan operating out top of the key. Grant and Laimbeer, and they called it on Laimbeer.
The beginning of the physical play we talked about inside the lane. This is just good hard play by 2 postmen trying to establish position. And certainly that was an act. Now, he does a good job of drawing offensive fouls, but he's not too good at masking them sometimes.
Teach you anything?
It'll take me a while.
Here's Purdue. No. Tip no good. Rodman gets the rebound.
Bill Laimbeer from the method acting school.
Stanislavski, huh? Edwards again misfiring. Boy, he's been having an offensive horror show. Laimbeer gets in the way of that pass. It might have been just a touch too cute.
Excellent job, though, of Laimbeer getting back.
Dumars. Purdue. Good position. Laimbeer hauls down the rebound.
Over the backboard, ball out on the side.
Ball went over the backboard. Now Vinnie Johnson's going to enter the game. Boy, if there's been a decided difference between these 2 teams, here's where it's come. Johnson and Sally getting ready to come in. The bench has been overwhelmingly in favor, bench play in favor of Detroit.
Well, certainly their guys are expected to come in and give an offensive lift, particularly in John Sally on the defensive end.
Michael Jordan called for the foul. John Sally will come in.
Personal foul. Michael Jordan, his first, the team's 4th.
Johnson's going to wait while Dumars shoots.
Well, Vern, certainly both teams, prior to this last possession by the Pistons, were kind of toying with the crowd a bit. The Bulls came down and put up a couple of quick shots from long range, hoping to get the crowd into it, get them on their feet. And on the other end, the Pistons come down, and they ran out of their offense just a bit, putting up a quick shot, trying to quiet this crowd down. They recognize that the crowd is an important factor here as far as emotion.
Joe Dumars gets the vote, and that cuts the lead to 3, 16-13. Chicago jumped out to a quick 10-4 edge in the first 2.5 minutes. They've not trailed since. Horace Grant, nice move, short with the shot. Sally with a rebound and the loose ball foul.
And you're right, it was an excellent move on the baseline. Horace Grant just didn't finish it strongly. He actually had another step to the basket for the dunk, but he pulled up. And that's because he recognized the shot blocking abilities of a John Sally.
That's going to put the Pistons in the penalty, or Chicago in the penalty, so the Pistons will shoot. And John Sally will go to the line. Of course, if Chicago wins tonight, Game 7 Sunday afternoon on CBS from the Palace at Auburn Hills, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. If Detroit wins tonight, this series is over, and the NBA Finals begin on CBS next Tuesday. And it would be between Detroit and Portland if Detroit wins tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern Time.
And you think about the foul, the compounding of an error by Horace Grant. Coming into this game, Detroit had gone to the line 21 times more than the Bulls, and that's where they have an advantage. They're getting some easy points.
Scottie Pippen tries to take it to the basket. Now Will Perdue traveled.
Detroit.
That's the 4th Chicago turnover, despite the fact that they lost Game 5 in Auburn Hills on Wednesday night. They committed only 9 turnovers in that game. They were just absolutely killed by poor shooting, 33%. And a chance now for the Pistons to take the lead. Sally, Thomas, Paxson, there's the double team. Edwards gets
Well, that time he faded to the position he wanted. He shoots a fadeaway jumper, but on some of them, he's kind of drifting off one side or the other. That's not James Edwards.
Pistons back on top by 1. Grant, short, gets the follow, puts it in.
And there he took that extra step he needed to get him to the basket. He didn't settle for the one bounce and then going straight up. That's what you have to do when you attack the basket. Take as much real estate as you possibly can.
Isiah Thomas, Perdue, and Edwards. They're going to get James Edwards this time.
Offensive foul, Detroit. James Edwards, his second.
That's the second foul on James Edwards. Time has been called. (18-17) Chicago up by 1. We mentioned earlier that Dennis Rodman is playing on a gimpy left ankle. He sprained it in Game 4, played 27 minutes in Game 5. And tonight he is trying out a brand new shoe. He had never worn this shoe, which gives him special support until practice today. It's got a brace around the top of it, Lenny, that is supposed to keep the ankle from turning over.
I was just wondering, since when? I mean, that's a pretty large shoe. Since when do they have roll bars on boats? I didn't. New model.
Well, we talked to Dennis before the game, about a half an hour before we tipped. And he said he thought it would work, but Mike Abdenauer, the trainer, had taped his left ankle so tightly, he wasn't sure he could feel the effect of it, even if it did roll. There's Mike Abdenauer.
Well, there's really one drawback in stabilizing ankles so much that many times you wind up injuring your knee when there's a twist or something. So you got to be very careful of that.
Stacey King has come off the bench now. He's been struggling with points, rebounds, and has seen reduced minutes here recently. Stacey King, the rookie out of Oklahoma. And now another chance. Detroit with 29 assists in winning Game 5. They have averaged 23 assists per game in their 3 victories and only 17 assists in the 2 losses, something that Chuck Daly thinks is very significant. Comes right in the hands of Stacey King. So we'll keep our eye on the number of assists throughout the night. Here's Paxson. Laimbeer with good reaction.
Paxson got into no man's land that time and really had no place to go with the ball.
Johnson, Rodman, Sally, Laimbeer, and Thomas on the floor for Detroit. Jordan stays in the ballgame.
3-second violation, Detroit.
3-second violation on Dennis Rodman.
Well, it was quite a battle inside with John Paxson attempting to block out Dennis Rodman in case of a shot. And Dennis Rodman, when he's in there, he takes no prisoners, as John Paxson can attest to at this point.
B.J. Armstrong comes into the lineup now, and John Paxson will get a rest period for the Chicago Bulls. So Chicago with Armstrong, Jordan, Pippen, King, and Horace Grant.
Offensively, B.J. Armstrong is given plenty of room by Isiah Thomas. We can see it there. He hasn't been shooting very well, but he needs to pick up his offensive game a bit to try to occupy Isiah.
Pippen for three.
And then again, if Scottie Pippen's going to score for him, hey.
Scottie Pippen now 6 of 18 in this series from three-point range. And it's a 4-point Chicago lead. Laimbeer doesn't like to go to the basket, but how about that play? Fadeaway jumper after he makes the turn in. And something equally rare, he's going to go to the free throw line. He has averaged 1 free throw attempt per game in the playoffs. Been there 13 times.
Well, many times you like to blame plays like this on being a first-year player, but you learn when you first start playing basketball, never to foul the jump shooter. And B.J. Armstrong stepped in and just slapped away. You don't want to give this team easy opportunities, especially a guy like Laimbeer, who's so proficient from the line. Those points, those easy points add up.
And that really negates the emotional impact of the Pippen three-pointer. Here's Armstrong, drives the lane, bumps into Laimbeer, and short arms the shot. 21-20, a chance for Detroit to reclaim the lead. Largest lead in the ball game has been 6. It's a 1-point Chicago edge right now. Johnson, Savage. Vinny Johnson with the rebound. Foul is called on Dennis Rodman.
Well, again, we see more battling inside. Rodman with the right hand. More of a love tap than anything else. Rodman tried to keep his balance, but he was called for the foul. A little bit of hand checking.
Mark Aguirre comes off the bench now for Chicago, or for Detroit rather. A big night in Game 5. 19 points on 8 of 10 shooting. Oh, that's way outside at the end of the buzzer.
At the end of the first quarter of play, the Chicago Bulls 21, Detroit 20.
That's the end of the first period with our score, Chicago 21, Detroit 20. We'll return after this message from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Basketball Association Eastern Conference Finals is sponsored by UPS. For guaranteed overnight delivery from coast to coast, UPS runs the tightest ship in the shipping business. Armor All, because only Armor All works like Armor All. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
At the end of one, it's a Pistons kind of score, despite the fact they trail by 1, 21-20. But if they keep teams below 100 points a game, they usually win. It's 21-20 right now. And let's join our colleague, Lesley Visser.
Vern, just now in the huddle, Chuck Daly told his team he wants them to be a lot more aggressive on defense. I think it's interesting that Joe Dumars, who didn't play much of the first quarter, he's been congested and dizzy the last couple of days, and he really sat on the edge of the bench kind of quietly, although the trainer, Mike Abdenauer, said no, that he was fine, but we'll keep an eye on it. Vern?
Chicago has not shot 50% from the field in any of the 5 games played thus far. They were 4 of 12 in the last 9 minutes of the first quarter, but they still wound up with a decent average. 21-20. Isiah Thomas, Vinny Johnson, Sally Laimbeer, and Mark Aguirre. Here's Johnson. Rejected by Stacey King, right into the hands of Mark Aguirre. No basket, offensive foul.
Mark Aguirre. His first.
Mark Aguirre, having trouble shedding his defender, decided to bump him off.
At the other end, B.J. Armstrong, now Horace Grant. Underneath, and Stacey King will go to the line.
Pistons personal foul.
Dennis Rodman still testing that sore left ankle. That's a trampoline, a small trampoline that he's working on.
And what that does is allows him seemingly to gain more flexibility with it. You see him going side to side. You get a sprained ankle and it stiffens up. A lot of the blood and everything coagulates in there, and that's where you get the swelling and the stiffness. But he's trying certainly to keep it loose. That whole leg has to be loose because you risk injury to other parts of it.
Gets two. Those are the first and second free throw opportunities for Chicago in the game. And they take a three-point lead at 23-20. Any defensive adjustments now that Phil Jackson makes when he's got these three subs on the bench for Detroit?
Well, certainly they have to get more active. They start overplaying a lot more, getting their hands active. That's what's going to create offensive momentum for them. Since Michael's out of the game, it's difficult for them to score.
Touch pass. Pippen.
But when you can get turnovers and get down the floor quickly, that's the best way to score.
Well, it was certainly the aggressive defense, in addition to Jordan's scoring, that led the way to victories at 3 and 4 here for Chicago. Craig Hodges, by the way, is in the ball game, and Michael Jordan getting his normal rest at the start of the second quarter. Armstrong, nice adjustment. The shot too strong.
I was ready to go down the side for the layup. That was so high. Armstrong with a nice job of saving it to get it down.
Back it goes to Laimbeer. Hodges on Laimbeer. Pippen on Johnson with a mismatch. Loose ball foul.
Loose ball foul. Mark Aguirre, his second.
Well, certainly this is the way they want to play. They want to get Detroit out of their patterns because without Michael Jordan on the floor, Scottie Pippen is really the only offensive threat. And anything you can get without having to come down and set up and look for a shot, if you're the Bulls, you're going to be happy.
Armstrong, Hodges, King, Pippen, and Grant. So two starters on the floor for Chicago. Craig Hodges, who's really been cold, hasn't rattled out. He's been a horrible shooting slump for the Bulls. Rebounds, 12-11. Detroit, 5-point edge, Chicago. Mark Aguirre.
Mark Aguirre.
Conversely, the Pistons come off with some guys who can light it up in Aguirre and in Vinnie Johnson, so they don't lose an awful lot when they bring their subs in offensively. It's on defense that they may have some weaknesses.
Stacey King, Laimbeer, Chicago ball. So 9 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the first half of play. Block shots now, 2 for Chicago and 1 for Detroit. The lead belongs to the Bulls. They're up by 3. Yet another sellout at Chicago Stadium in Chicago, and they have enjoyed themselves thus far as the Bulls are up in a must-win game for Chicago. They lead Detroit 25-22. Not surprisingly, both these teams shoot much better at home than on the road, though Detroit, not a bad average at 44% here in Chicago. The Bulls, however, have been having shooting woes. And thus far, Lenny, you said they had to shoot better tonight, and they have done that.
Well, Phil Jackson told us yesterday that the shot selection in Detroit the other day was poor, but he knows that his team has a better selection of shots, and they actually have more patience when they're here at home, and they've shown that thus far.
And as a result, they are up by 3, 4 seconds remaining on the shot clock. When we went away during the timeout, Laimbeer had just knocked the ball out of bounds. So Bulls will have to hustle. Pippen with an off-balance shot short. Horace Grant chases it down. Hodges for three. That is going to give Craig Hodges a huge lift. That's only the 5th three-pointer he's hit in this series after hitting 48% from the field three-point range for the season. He was at 20% in this series. A 6-point Chicago lead. And they have accomplished an extension of their lead now while Michael Jordan rests. Pippen for 2 more. The lead is 8. Dumars, Vinnie Johnson, Sally, Aguirre, and Laimbeer for Detroit. Hodges and Armstrong in the backcourt, along with King, Pippen, and Horace Grant for Chicago.
When you look at Detroit in their half-court offense against the pressure, they don't have the confidence to attack it like you should. They back it up, and then they don't get a good shot.
King for 2 more. .55 to go in the first half. And this much-maligned bench of the Chicago Bulls has increased the first quarter lead by 9 points since Michael Jordan took a rest. Chicago hitting 50%. Jordan with 6 points and 2 rebounds thus far. James Edwards leads Detroit. And Chicago has outscored the Detroit bench 9-4. Big plays from Stacey King, Craig Hodges, B.J. Armstrong.
And the Bulls bench has done it through the pressure, the full court pressure. They really harassed the Pistons. The Pistons aren't attacking the full court pressure as you must do because they always give up a shot when you're pressing full court. Instead, they're backing it up and they're playing a little bit complacently. The Bulls create turnovers and they've gone down and scored.
Aguirre with Horace Grant. Here's Laimbeer. He ends out. B.J. Armstrong pushes it up. Back to Grant. Scottie Pippen. Foul will be called on John Sally. This is a Chicago bench that had been shooting very poorly. They had been giving Phil Jackson only 15 points in 65 minutes per game in this series. And now Michael Jordan comes back in just a moment, with the bench having increased this lead by 9 points. 10.
Oh, with Michael Jordan coming into the game, you have to wonder, are the Bulls going to maintain that defensive intensity in their pressure? And also on the offensive end, now that they've established the diversity of that team, with Michael Jordan back in the game, but they could continue to move the ball around and hit the open man or just go to Michael.
Armstrong knocks it out of bounds. Detroit to inbound.
Well, that answers the question as far as the defensive intensity.
There's the trap in the backcourt. Full court pressure applied now. Sally. 3-on-2. Throws it away. That's 8 turnovers for the Pistons.
That's a perfect example of attacking it, a 3-on-2, but John Sally's not the guy you want in the middle. You need a ball handler there.
Pippen. Laimbeer quiets the crowd momentarily. A 12-point edge. Isiah Thomas.
Back to basics for the Pistons. They know Isaiah's penetration is going to pay dividends. He's got to do it more.
At the other end, it's Armstrong's shot that won't fall. Pistons with a rebound. Dumars has Mark Aguirre on the right side. Air ball for 3. Jordan was tripped inadvertently. Daryl Garrettson saw the trip and called the foul.
Coming out court from behind, it's John Sally.
Second foul on John Sally. Dennis Rodman back in. Technical foul.
Chuck Daly has got to be concerned right now. He's got the world champions losing their composure. They mentioned that this building is something that they also have to fight against, but they also deny that they'd be intimidated. But the mere mention of the building and the fact big part, to me, points up a concern that the Pistons have who are playing here.
Technical was called on Vinnie Johnson. B.J. Armstrong on the bench, where Vinnie Johnson was sitting. B.J. Armstrong out. Now Pippen. Paxson is back in. 35-24, 6:22 to go. Cartwright has also come back on now for Chicago. Stacey King. Cartwright kicks it back out.
And the fans are giving Bill Cartwright a standing ovation. They appreciate that type of effort. That's something that they've been criticizing Bill about throughout this series.
3-second violation called against Cartwright.
And he giveth and he taketh away.
5:57 to go in the first half of play. A must-win game for the Bulls. They lose, they're out. If there's a game 7 in Detroit, we'll have it for you Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern. Dennis Rodman, nice feed.
Well, definitely threaded the needle on that one.
35-26 now. Well, the story of the first half thus far, the bench play by Chicago. The Bulls were up by 1 at the end of 1. Jordan took a rest, and the Bulls increased it to a double-digit lead with subs on the floor. Now Cartwright will shoot. James Edwards picks up another foul. That's 3 on him. And quickly, Chuck Daly makes a move.
Well, James Edwards is having trouble with Bill Cartwright, not only finding him when the ball goes off the backboard, but when Cartwright turns and faces him, James Edwards not known to get down in a defensive stance and play a guy, but he must do that because that's when your center of gravity is lower. You move laterally a lot better. He's standing straight up and Cartwright's putting it on the floor.
Cartwright has seen that series average at 7.4 points against Detroit. His number of points have declined sequentially. Almost 10 points per game against Milwaukee, 8 points against Philadelphia. Numbers are lower than that against Detroit. Here's Dumars. Laimbeer.
That's what you have to do. Joe Dumars finally gets the ball into the middle. A ball handler. The first pass gets past the wave of defenders. Now you got a 3-on-1, 3-on-2.
Cartwright looks for help. Finds it in the first row.
The Pistons right now have picked up their defensive intensity a bit, overplaying the people on the wings. That's where Cartwright was going, and he and Paxson had a miscommunication, but it was because of the Detroit Pistons defensive intensity.
Laimbeer.
Timeout, Chicago.
And Phil Jackson wants to calm things down. Bill Laimbeer is now 3 of 5. And the lead has been diminished to 6.
Great scene in Chicago as the Bulls lead 36-30 with 4:42 left. Hi, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien. And coming up on the Prudential at the half, the big story off the court this evening is in Cleveland, where they finally signed Danny Ferry. We'll talk with Danny live. We'll also speak with Clyde Drexler of the Portland Trail Blazers as he and his team get set for the finals. And since it's prime time, we will, in fact, make a fashion statement. All that, and as usual, much, much more at a familiar place, the Prudential at the half. And I feel like Vern, Phantom of the Opera up here by the horse.
You know, Pat, that it crossed my mind. Every time I see you in that perch, Michael Crawford comes to mind. Can you sing that well? I don't think so.
I do neither.
Back to play game 6, 36-30, 4:42 to go in the first half. And let's check in with Lesley Visser. Les?
Vern, I just spoke with Dennis Rodman. He spent 5 minutes over here on his trampoline act before he went back in. He said his foot is really sore. He says his greatest problem is running forward. He said, I have to run on my tippy toes, which, of course, is quite a sight. Vern?
He was a prancer before he got the ankle injury. Really tender now. 4:30 to go, first half, 36-30. Chicago up by 6. They led by as many as 12. Isiah Thomas called for the foul.
Isiah Thomas, his first penalty.
Well, certainly you look at the Bulls in their half-court set now. This quarter, they've shot only 4 of 11. Most of those points coming in the pressure. The half-court offense being stalled a bit. But this man right here stabilizes the half-court offense, usually by putting the ball in his hands. Detroit, on the other hand, is 5 of 12. They made 5 of their last 6. So they're starting to click, and that means that they're attacking that pressure and getting the advantage points that they need.
Lead is back to 8. At the other end, Isiah Thomas back to Rodman. Good no call?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's a situation, one pass, Isiah beats the first wave, and it's another 3-on-2 break. Bulls can't afford to give up easy baskets like that. They're going to have to find another way to defend.
Well, those of you who have followed the NBA on CBS throughout the last month, here's Pippen. Know how much of a home court advantage has been prevalent this year, more so than in any year since 1964. As a matter of fact, among the 3 remaining teams, Chicago, Detroit, and Portland, none has lost at home yet. 24 games won among the 3 teams. There's Thomas. Dumars. And if Chicago can win at home tonight, there will be a Game 7 on Sunday, and we will have it for you at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Paxson. That'll help.
Big shot lifts the confidence of the Bulls. Defensively now, they feel they have to get after it. They can't allow Detroit to come out here and execute as well as they did on the last possession. Got to throw them out of their rhythm, play the passing lanes. You see Jordan on Dumars doing that.
Isiah Thomas, long rebound. Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan. Chicago 3 of 5 on 3-point plays. Traveling call.
Michael won't argue. He knows he took a little skip on that particular play, coming to a jump stop.
Funny watching Chuck Daly, talking with him last night about the effect of this arena, Chicago Stadium. Asked him what it reminded him of. He said, any ancient ACC gymnasium you want to think of. And the what it do comes to mind first.
The only difference is the fans here aren't as creative as those Duke students.
That's right. Bill Jackson.
They just give you the old "you stink" when you're the opposing team.
16 games in a row before these fans have been won by the Chicago Bulls. 2:31 to go before halftime. There's the cut by Thomas. From the corner. 0 for 5 on 3-point tries now for Detroit. There's zip for 5. Dumars. They're going to give this to Michael Jordan. That's his second.
Joe Dumars to the line. He'll shoot 1.
Joe Dumars, the quiet young man who was the MVP of last year's NBA Finals with a 27-point average. And again this season has elevated his play. He's already playing at a lofty standard. He leads his team in scoring in this series, averaging 22 points per game. A 4-point edge. Oh, good defense. King gets it back to the Bulls. Off the glass and in. And Pippen has 11.
He gives Stacey King a lot of credit for his poise in the 3-second area, going down for the loose ball, and then making the play. He's not a rookie anymore.
No, Rodman got it.
That was the first time in a while we've seen Dennis Rodman pump that fist at #1 in the air.
Paxson. Laimbeer, 2-on-1. Pippen back. Rodman. Count the basket, send Dennis Rodman to the free throw line.
Personal foul on Michael Jordan, his third.
Well, people think that Detroit is not a running team. Certainly, they don't look to pull the ball out of the basket and go. But when they get opportunities, they're taking off. And you see Dennis Rodman taking Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan looking as though he was just going to give up the layup, but calls for the foul.
22nd timeout, Detroit.
22nd timeout call because Rodman's ankle is really paining him right now. That was Michael Jordan's third foul.
Here another look at it. Michael Jordan hustling to get back. Puts one hand out.
Oh, man. I'm not sure what was seen. That was called a foul on Michael Jordan. You're being awfully quiet, Mr. Elmore.
I'm cleaning my glasses.
And that's 3 fouls on Jordan, who sits down.
Okay, there, that's better.
Does it look any more like a foul this time?
Well, it's unfortunate in a situation like that you get a foul call on your best player, and that forces him to sit on the bench. I mean, if anything, you want to see him get a hard foul, a foul that counts. You know, those are the things you look back in a close game and think about the lost minutes in situations like that. That could prove to be very big in this next 1 minute and 23 seconds.
There's an extraordinary story unfolding at the free throw line, too. Rodman, who is not known as a good free throw shooter, anything but, has now hit 13 of 16 in this series after a season average of 58% from the line.
But see, the guy's a warrior, and he went up to the line in practice. He practiced over the summer.
Taken away by Isiah Thomas, but it gets on the line. Yeah, he really did work on that one element of his game.
And that's what's important. Some guys just dismiss it and say, I just don't have it. Not Dennis Rodman. He goes after it.
Each and every ball game.
1:05 to go in the first half of play.
Well, we talked about physical play, and we expected it, again, not of the dimension of the hard fouls and taking people down, but the bumping and grinding is attempting to establish position. Playoff basketball.
Dennis Rodman grew up in Dallas, Texas. I think the story is fairly well known around the country. Did not play basketball immediately out of high school. Stayed out of school for a long time and walked on at Southeast Oklahoma State. And then signed as a second-round draft choice and has become the most valuable defensive player in the NBA. Said he wants to make his full-time home in the tiny town of Bochita, Oklahoma. And a big basket from the corner, Scottie Pippen. Well, he's 5 for 9 now, Len.
Well,
so that shooting slump he was in apparently broken.
He certainly blew by Bill Laimbeer on that one, had him standing still, and went to the baseline where he's so great from.
Jordan stays on the bench in the final minute. Dumars. Foul, Scottie Pippen.
His second penalty.
Now, as that play was developing, Phil Jackson jumped up and was calling for some type of situation where somebody's holding inside. He was pointing into the lane. Now, I wonder if it's because the defenders can't get to help out on Joe Dumars or not, and that Detroit is preventing his defenders from getting to the help side. But he's talking right now to John Paxson about it.
John Sally's going to get a rest for the final 42 seconds. Chuck Daly will go with his 3 guards, Dumars, Thomas, and Vinnie Johnson. And Dumars now 5 for 5 from the line. The lead is only 1. It had been as many as 12. More significantly, Michael Jordan with 9 points and 3 fouls. Pippen for 2. And he's been a real spark plug here for Chicago in the first half. 15 on the shot clock, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. Skip pass underneath. Tipped. Chicago.
It began without an alert Bill Cartwright in the passing lane, but some other alert players covered up for him.
Halftime. And that's the end of the half with our score. Chicago 47, Detroit 44. Pat O'Brien along with the Prudential at the half after this message.
CBS Sports presents The Prudential at the half. Sponsored by the companies of the Prudential. Come to the Prudential and build your future on the rock.
And all over the city of Chicago tonight, they're saying, give us at least one more game, Chicago Bulls. And the Bulls lead by 3, 47-44. And hi again, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien, and once again, welcome to the Prudential at the half. Let's go right to work here, because the big story in basketball tonight is in Cleveland, Ohio, where the Cavaliers have finally signed Danny Ferry to a long-term contract at $2.5 million a year. Ferry was the #1 pick in last year's NBA draft. He packed his bags for Italy rather than go play for Cleveland, and it worked. The Clippers traded Ferry for Ron Harper and some draft picks, and now the deal is complete. And Danny Ferry joins us live now from Cleveland. Danny, congratulations. What got the deal done for you?
Well, thanks a lot. I'm really excited about it. The deal took some time just because there were some complications with the salary cap and so on, and then also just getting things done when I got back. I didn't want to talk to Cleveland until I returned from Italy, and everything went pretty smoothly from there.
Well, they got that hat on you pretty quick anyway. What about playing in Italy, the level of basketball there? Is there any concern there that you haven't been playing NBA-level basketball?
Well, I haven't been playing NBA-level basketball, but I look at it as being another year in college. I think the competition was good. I was usually matched up against the American forward and against zones and so on. So I think it pushed me, but I also know that I have some work to do this summer.
You've got a good young team there in Cleveland. What do you think of your team? Tell me about the Cavs a little bit.
Well, I'm excited about the Cavs. They have a great organization. The guys on the team are talented, and I think they're also good people. So I think that'll help us come together as a team. They've been very competitive for the last say 3 years, and hopefully I'm someone who can help push them over the hump a little bit.
Now that you're once again an American basketball expert, who do you like in the finals this year? Besides Portland, who do you like in the East?
I think Detroit. If Chicago gives up the lead this game, I'd be surprised if they win the game. But it's important for them to keep that lead. But I think Detroit's going to play Portland, and I think Detroit will win.
All right, you answered that question straight away. Not many people do. Thank you, Danny. Congratulations. We'll see you down the road.
Okay, thank you.
Let's pick up the baseball scoreboard right now and begin in the American League. The White Sox of Minnesota are knotted at 1 now in the 8th inning. Oakland, thanks to back-to-back homers by Canseco and McGuire, lead Kansas City 4-0 there in the 6th inning. Over in the National League, the Cardinals lead the Cubs 2-1 there in the 5th. And Bud Harrelson looking for his first win. The Mets lead the Phillies 4-0. They were playing golf in Potomac, Maryland today at the Kemper Open, and at the conclusion of the second round, Gil Morgan is at 7 under. He's got a 1-stroke lead over Scott Hoke, who's at 6 under. 5 are tied at 5. And tomorrow you can see third round coverage of the Kemper Open at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific here on CBS. When we come back, we will talk live with Clyde Drexler as At the Half rolls on in a time called Prime. After a commercial and a word from your local station. Stay with us. Inside the Chicago Stadium, they are enjoying some halftime entertainment, but the entertainment they want here is a celebration after this Game 6 and take it on to 7. The Bulls lead by 3. Well, as we all know, 13 is an unlucky number, and nobody knows that more or better than the Portland Trail Blazers. That's how many years it's been since they've been in the NBA Finals, but lo and behold, here they are again after beating the Phoenix Suns in 6 games. They are the Western Conference champions. Last night, this was the celebration at Phoenix as they defeated Phoenix. And early this morning, 1:30 a.m., they arrive in Oregon at the Hillsborough Airport. And Folks, 1:30 in the morning, these fans are out doing this. The loyal fans of Portland supported this team all year. They are tremendous fans up there. And now they have themselves the Western Conference champions, and joining us is one of the reasons they are the champs, Clyde Drexler. And Clyde, thank you for joining us on At the Half. It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? The Western Conference champs?
Oh, it sounds really good to me now. It really sounds good.
Clyde, in
The only thing that would sound better would be world champions.
Clyde, in the 8 or 9 years I've been covering the NBA, nobody has ever answered this question, so I'll try you since you're new at this. Who would you rather play, Detroit or Chicago?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think both teams are extremely good, and they present matchup problems for both, for us. And I just think whoever we play, we're going to have our work cut out for us.
Well, you'd definitely like to have the home court advantage.
Definitely. That would be a plus for us.
How is the team doing now? I know you had a day off today. Are you confident? Are you healthy? Are you ready to go into this? It's a lot different, as you know.
Well, I think the day off is really going to help the team. We've been playing every other day for the last 3 weeks, I think. And to get a day off, to look back and see what we've done and see what we have to do in the future to be the NBA World Championship.
What's going on in the city? We saw the great scene at the airport at 1:30 this morning. The city must be going nuts up there for you guys.
The city is going, it's Blazomania, back again. First time since the 77-78 season. And I think Portland fans are the best fans in the NBA. And last night was a prime example. I think they supported us throughout the whole ordeal, and we couldn't have done it without them.
When will you feel the pressure start creeping up on you now to bring home a world championship? Or has it already started?
It's already started, Pat, and we've really got our work cut out for us, and we're ready.
Well, Clyde, congratulations. Thanks for joining us on At the Half, and we'll see you Tuesday night, all right?
Thank you.
Finally, thank you, Clyde. Finally, there are many trends to follow around the NBA, and those of us who work on At the Half try to think that we cover just about every one of them for you. Well, we checked, and there was one issue uncovered. So tonight, we tie up some loose ends. A tie is a statement. If you have to wear one, make it sing. So it's no wonder that when you're a head coach, you pick a tie that becomes you or becomes part of your game.
Chuck and Pat Riley, they're in a race. Not only are they in a race to win the NBA championship, they're in the Fashion Institute of Technology race to be the fashion plate of the NBA, and they both are.
A tie is power, but sometimes it can be a Titanic.
Basically, it has to do all with coloring, matching stripes and color, not only in the shirt, but in the tie. But sometimes I have to call in a couple people. You know, I've got 2 very good assistants, and sometimes we have to have a team meeting at my house to decide which tie.
Apparently, Del Harris didn't have the benefit of a meeting on that one. As for everybody else, they're all a neck behind the original.
I started all this designer tie business, and I still have the best ties in the business. I still have the fish tie.
You know, Nelly gave me one of those ties, and I wrapped a fish in it. First time he's heard of this one. Vern and Len are getting ready to strap themselves in for the second half. I'm Pat O'Brien. Thank you for joining us on the Prudential at the Half. Enjoy the second half here on CBS.
The Prudential at the Half has been sponsored by the companies of the Prudential. Come to the Prudential and build your future on the rock. CBS Sports coverage of the National Basketball Association Eastern Conference Finals is sponsored by today's Chevrolet, who invite you to see why nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Gatorade is thirst aid for that deep down body thirst. And by the U.S. Army, where you get an edge on life. Be all you can be.
We're getting set for the second half. The Chicago Bulls in a must-win situation, leading Detroit 47-44 right now. Their largest lead was 12, but Detroit cut that down to 3 at halftime. Lesley Visser just a moment ago had a chance to talk with Detroit Pistons head coach Chuck Daly.
Chuck, you're down by 3, and you did a pretty good job on Jordan. What are you most concerned about for the second half?
Well, our offensive efficiency needs to pick up. They're doing a great job defensively. We're not getting open for easy shots. Got to work harder on the offensive end.
What about Dennis Rodman? He went limping out of here.
I'm concerned about it, but he wants to go. I'd like to get it done tonight, though, and find out where we are.
Thank you, Chuck.
Okay.
Well, 24 minutes, and will determine who will win this game. As the Pistons are down, they were trailing by 12 And really, Lamb, that spurt was ignited by the Chicago bench with Jordan sitting down.
Well, certainly with Michael Jordan sitting down, they had to generate some type of offense, and they did it with their pressure. Detroit didn't really have a handle on what was going on. They had some opportunities, and they wound up blowing them simply because they didn't have the right people in the right places. Now, against the pressure, what they wound up doing is getting people like John Sally involved in it, trying to handle the ball, and that's a no-no as far as the Pistons are concerned. The other side of it is that they finally did solve it. They wound up getting a ball handler in the middle, and they started getting easy opportunities off that pressure, and that's one of the reasons they got back into this ball game.
Let's take a look at that pressure and the Sally play in the middle and see what the result of it was.
Well, see, 3 guys for the Bulls are in the front court, only 2 behind. You got a 3-on-2 situation, and those are the problems that Detroit found themselves in when they played against that pressure. But again, replace Sally with a Joe Dumars or an Isiah Thomas, and you convert those opportunities. Detroit did that in the latter part of the second quarter.
John Sally opens with Dennis Rodman. Here's a three-pointer. 0 for 6 from three-point range now for the Detroit Pistons. In contrast, Chicago 3 for 5. Michael Jordan with only 9 points. 3 of 5 from the field. He took only 5 shots in the first half. He has 3 fouls. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Scottie Pippen was 6 of 10 in the first half. 4 on the shot clock. Detroit ball.
Well, the Bulls can't be happy. The first possession down court, a huge breakdown in their offense. Excellent defensive activity by the Pistons. They can't afford to let the clock run down like that because Jordan is caught way outside.
Joe Dumars operating down along the baseline now. Here's Laimbeer from long range. No good. Jordan rebound. Laimbeer gets in the passing lane. At the other end, it's Dumars, this time on Paxson. The shot no good. Jordan and Thomas fight for the rebound. Isiah Thomas for 2, air ball. Cartwright chases it down.
And you see, with that possession, Scottie Pippen clapped his hands. He wanted to go. But the Bulls, again, slowed it down. They had an advantage, but they didn't recognize it. They've got to recognize the advantages that they have to get the easy baskets. They're having difficulty scoring out of their half-court sets.
2 seconds on the shot clock. Second time down that they've been frustrated offensively.
And certainly Michael Jordan, again, trapped way outside.
This time the block by Horace Grant on the Isiah Thomas shot. 3-on-1. Foul on Laimbeer.
Those are the baskets that the Bulls need desperately. And they have the opportunities. That time, Michael Jordan looked up the floor this time and recognized Scottie Pippen.
Scottie Pippen will shoot 2.
And Vern, the other thing about it is Laimbeer was the only one back defensively. That means that the Pistons are sending an awful lot of people to the offensive board, and they're not getting the correct type of floor balance that they need when the ball comes off the board.
Second foul on Laimbeer. Pippen converts both free throws, 49-44. 10 of 11 from the line now for Chicago. That's for 2, Isiah Thomas. Dumars, I beg your pardon. Cartwright. Detroit will inbound.
And you have to wonder now, maybe it's too quick a shot. Cartwright did have a one-on-one situation, but they really didn't have too many people covering the board.
Now, Phil Jackson said that was one of their problems on the road in Detroit. They were impatient with their shots. Didn't expect that tonight. There's the switch. Grant. Skip pass over to Dumars. And the rotation leaves Scottie Pippen on Dumars. Nice adjustment of the ball. What a shot. 1 point Chicago edge. Rodman still playing with the gimpy ankle. Cartwright. Foul on Laimbeer.
Detroit personal foul, Bill Laimbeer. His third, the team's second. Will Cartwright shoots two.
Cartwright 1 of 2 from the line. He has the only Chicago miss for the evening. James Edwards has 3 fouls, getting the rest. And Laimbeer, of course, now has 3. So Jordan with 3 for Chicago, Edwards and Laimbeer with 3 each for Detroit. The pressure applied now by the Bulls. Dumars. Rodman, touch pass. John Sally, no. Good defense in the lane.
Loose ball foul.
Another sellout crowd on hand at Chicago Stadium in Chicago, the Madhouse on Madison Avenue. The Bulls hang on to a 3-point edge. They were up by 1 at the end of the first quarter, led by 3 at halftime. It had been a 12-point margin of 34-22 midway through quarter number 2. Detroit shaved that to 3. And here's Dumars with another basket that cuts it down to 1. Dumars with 17 points.
The Pistons are back to their game plan, making Jordan work.
Well, in that mano-a-mano, Dumars has 17. Jordan now has 11. The Pistons with 5 more shots than the Bulls in quarter number 3. Thomas passes on the 3. Saved by Grant. Pippen. Rodman goes down. Pippen shoots. Long rebound. Cartwright.
Now, we've mentioned it before earlier in the series in the first game. It's not a good play to flop like that. You take yourself out of the defense.
No basket. And an ankle injury for John Paxson.
Detroit personal foul, Isiah Thomas.
Remember, he's been playing on a sore ankle.
Third. In the timeout, Chicago.
See what happened. Oh, boy. Oh, boy, did it buckle. John Paxson has been assisted to the Bulls bench with that injured ankle, and it was a nasty twist that he took, Lenny Omar.
Well, certainly you see him come through the lane, a nice penetration and dish, but coming right here, you can see it. I just circled it there. We'll try it again from another angle. This time I'll be able to circle it when it stops. He's catching right here. In that particular area down on the floor, you see the twist.
Let's check in with Lesley Visser. Les?
Vern, this is particularly painful for John Paxson because, of course, it's a reoccurring injury. He's already had this ankle sprain during this series. Out on the floor just now, the trainer was telling him, take deep breaths. They're going to keep an eye on it. Vern?
All right, Les. Craig Hodges has checked in Paxson's place, so it's Hodges and Jordan in the backcourt. Pippen, Cartwright, and Grant up front. Dumars, Rodman, Sally. Here's Cartwright. Difficult shot. Laimbeer with a rebound. Taps it to Rodman, and here comes Detroit.
Cartwright's got to work at getting one more step to the basket. He had his head and shoulders by Laimbeer, but he didn't finish it.
As you can see, Jordan has been held in check offensively. Back to Thomas, quickly to Laimbeer. Nice pump fake by Laimbeer. But the shot doesn't fall, and Cartwright clears the rebound. Jordan and Dumars spread the court. Shot short. Jordan gets his own rebound.
Vern, his shot is flat. It looks as though he may not be getting leg into it. A little more arc that time.
Jordan with 13. The lead is 5. 6:50 to go, third quarter. Chicago must win if they're going to extend it to a 7th game. Laimbeer after the air ball. And if there is a 7th game, we'll have it for you on CBS from Auburn Hills on Sunday at 1. If Detroit wins, they'll face Portland in the finals. Dumars took a hard spill under the basket as the shot was going through.
Well, both teams are now starting to clear out inside, try to establish their domain in the paint. And so you're seeing a lot of guys flying out of there.
Ready, you can run, John.
Isiah Thomas will bring it up. Craig Hodges guards him. Dumars cuts out front. Double team. Laimbeer fights for the loose ball. Sally has it go off the brace. And it'll be out of bounds. Chicago on the side. 6:05 to go, quarter number 3. Chuck Daly urging his team on.
He also urged the officials to call a foul. He felt that Dumars and Laimbeer were fouled on that play.
Detroit personal foul, Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman picks up the foul. That's his second. 4th team foul. Next time they'll shoot. This time Sally on Jordan. Laimbeer knocks it too hard. It's out of bounds. Chicago will put it in play.
Well, the Bulls right now recognizing one more foul. They're in the penalty, and they will go to the line for every foul thereafter the rest of the quarter. As we take a look at Paxson's ankle packed in ice. But they need the easy opportunity, so they have to force the issue. Take it to the basket and get the foul.
Cartwright. Taken down by John Sally. 5 points Chicago edge. 15 assists for Detroit. And the foul on Billy Cartwright.
Chicago personal foul, Scottie Pippen.
It's Pippen instead. And that's 3 on Scottie Pippen.
John Sally to the line. He'll shoot the pair.
Sally, who has not been scoring that much in this particular series. He had a 16-point average in the first round against Indiana. And he hasn't been in double digits in 6 out of the last 7 games. He's got only 3 in this ball game.
And coming into this game, he'd only had 18 attempts from the field, made 9 of them. But he's not really involved in the offense so much up until now. He'd been primarily the shot blocker and rebounder.
Lead is 3, 57-54. 5.5 to go, 3rd quarter. Cartwright knocked Laimbeer down and got caught.
And that was more than obvious. I mean, recognizing when you play against a Bill Laimbeer and any little shove that you use, particularly with your arms, he's going to take a dive. Cartwright's got to be more subtle in that. Use your body, not your arm. Watch him use his left arm and push off. It's a good call by the officials. Subtle in that. Use your body, not your arm. Watch him use his left arm and push off. It's a good call by the officials. Cartwright has some pretty wide hips. Let's make some contact.
You sound like a guy who's seen Bill Laimbeer go down a couple of times.
Certainly have, and the thing is, he does an excellent job no matter what you think of him.
Nearing the 5-minute mark, 3rd quarter, 57-54. Dumars. Nope. Rebound no good. Jordan. Rodman, I think, with the foul.
Piston personal foul, Dennis Rodman.
3 on Rodman.
Penalty.
3 on Laimbeer. 3 on James Edwards. Problems for Chuck Daly, perhaps. No move toward the bench, and Michael Jordan will shoot.
Certainly Chuck Daly has to be thinking a little bit ahead if this trend continues to develop, where his team isn't covering the offensive boards as he thought they would. And on the other end, they're in foul trouble as far as from team standpoint. He's got to start thinking of maybe extending his defense a little bit more, try to throw the Bulls out of their patterns, because now they want to attack the basket out of their half court.
Lead is back at 5, 59-54. Game 6 Eastern Conference Finals from Chicago Stadium. Vern Lundquist, Len Elmore, Lesley Visser, along with Pat O'Brien. Detroit up 3 games to 2. Dumars dishes to Rodman, who's too strong with a short shot, and Craig Hodges has it for Chicago. Grant. Dumars for Detroit. Isolation play. There's the double. Back to Laimbeer for 3. Horace Grant with another rebound. That's 10 rebounds for Horace Grant. He's right at his per-game average in the series. Jordan. Fade away.
I think it might be time to settle the team down. If you're Chuck Daly, you want, again, in the half-court set, you're getting people into the lane, but they're not converting the shots, or on the outside shooters converting the dishes.
Thomas with a pump fake. Shot is short. Laimbeer. That's 4. He's seething.
Well, we had a chance to see Chuck Daly come behind him and pull him off the court. But Isiah Thomas with the double clutch, he really didn't have to do that. And you see Laimbeer attempting to clear out and grab the ball at the same time.
Does he have an argument?
There was some contact made in there. And whether or not it was a foul or it was part of the play that's been continuing on both ends remains to be seen in the mind of the official.
Replacing Horace Grant.
Vinnie Johnson has replaced Isiah Thomas. So Johnson and Dumars, Sally, James Edwards back in with 3 fouls, and Dennis Rodman and Stacey King to shoot 1 more. Lead is 9. It was 3 at the half.
You look at the top of your screen, Cartwright and Edwards battling down in the post.
Baseline jumper off the glass, but a foul called on the play.
Although that foul by Bill Cartwright was against the offensive player with the ball, nevertheless, when you take Laimbeer's foul and this one and put them together, you see the officials pulling the reins in a little bit more as far as the physical play is concerned, the bumping and the pushing.
Now again, that inexplicable problem for James Edwards. He does manage to convert this free throw, but he has had serious problems. Now Will Perdue will come in. We've not seen Ed Neely tonight, and Neely has been averaging about 20 points per 20 minutes per game in this series.
I guarantee you, if the bumping and the grinding still continues, that Ed Neely will be in sort of to stabilize that inside play for the Bulls.
Nearing the 3-minute mark, 3rd quarter. 3-point Chicago halftime lead. They got it as high as 7 in this quarter. Michael Jordan as high as 9, and that's where it is right now. They equal their largest lead of this half. Largest lead of the game was 12 at 34-22.
Detroit seems to be a little confused as to which play they're going to run. A lot of congestion.
Timeout, Detroit. Chicago personal foul, Scottie Pippen, his 4th. The team scores.
Foul has been called, and time is called as well. 65-56, Chicago. This is Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. There might be a Game 7 on Sunday, depending on who wins tonight, but for sure, the NBA Finals begin Tuesday at 9 o'clock Eastern on CBS, and we know that the Portland Trail Blazers are in the finals for the first time since 1977, having won on the road last night in Phoenix. Right now, let's check in with Lesley Visser.
Vern, just now, Chuck Daly was very stern with his troops. He told them, hang around the basket, go after those rebounds, and he really wants them to make the extra pass against the pressure. Vern?
Leslie, they've got to make some shots as well. Here are the foul troubles. Laimbeer with 4, Pippen and Cartwright 4 each for Chicago. But thus far in the quarter, Chuck Daly's team is 4 of 20 from the field.
Well, certainly when he says make some extra passes, he's recognized that his guards, particularly Isiah Thomas, who's not on the floor right now, and even Joe Dumars, they've been double teamed at the top. And rather than move the ball and catch the Bulls in their rotation, they've decided to take it upon themselves to put it on the floor. Consequently, they're playing against 2 defenders and getting some tough shots. That's why they haven't been making many.
Rodman can't convert either one. And the lead stays at 9. Chicago has not trailed since it was 17-16 Detroit. Jordan for 2 more. And it's a double-digit lead again for the Chicago Bulls. Will Perdue got caught with an elbow.
Well, in an attempt to be as physical as he possibly can, Will Perdue is trying to make contact. What he's trying to do is keep James Edwards from setting up down low. You always ask the big man to meet the guy up higher, make contact, and slow his progress down to the spot where he wants to set up. Edwards wants to set up on the block, but you can't do it with your elbow. You've got to put your body out there and make contact. Force James Edwards to go around him. That slows him down, and it throws the offensive rhythm out of whack.
1 of 2 for Edwards. Perdue with a rebound. 10-point edge. 67-57, 2:15 to go, third quarter. Nice pass from Perdue to Pippen. Back to Hodges for 3. Chicago ball. Largest lead of the game right now on Craig Hodges' second three-pointer of the ball game.
Detroit personal foul, Vinnie Johnson.
Vinnie Johnson gets called for the foul.
Well, Vinnie Johnson was called for the foul in trying to run through the Will Perdue pick. Now, he's arguing probably that he didn't know the pick was there. He wasn't trying to do anything but get through. And really, his argument is with his teammate. And I know it's difficult to communicate out here and be heard, but you've got to get up on everyone setting picks and call it out to help your teammate who's trying to get around it, guarding the guy using the picker.
Saw the sub, B.J. Armstrong, come in, and for Detroit, Isiah Thomas and Mark Aguirre back on the court. Rodman and Dumars sit down. Perdue gets them both. And the lead is 15 points. Keep in mind, Chicago was up by 19 in game 4 here. Aguirre with 2. That was our Monday, and the Pistons got it down to within 3 in a tightly played game. Jordan for 3. The lead is 16. John Sally with a partial answer for the Pistons. Final minute, third quarter.
In an attempt to match up with the smaller Bulls lineup, you have James Edwards and John Sally, 2 7-footers out there to try to get the advantage. The problem is this Bulls offensive lineup seems a little bit too quick for them. Michael Jordan's playing small forward right now, and it's essentially a 3-guard offense. So somebody big like McGuire or someone is going to be stuck with Michael Jordan.
Grant shot off the pass from Jordan, no good. Double dribble traveling. And Sally comes up a little gimpy leg.
They see the loose ball, and it certainly was. There was a controlled dribble. In other words, Sally dribbled the ball in an attempt to control it, and then he put it back on the floor.
John Sally will give his leg a rest, and Dennis Rodman comes back in. What an explosion by Chicago. It continues.
And even though they converted, Chicago converted, Detroit's getting away with an illegal defense. They're doubling and tripling Jordan without the ball.
Thomas to Edwards. Purdue doesn't want to take any fouls home with him tonight, so he uses another. And Edwards will go to the line. At the conclusion of our game, Len Elmore and I will select the Miller Lite Player of the Game. In conjunction with the award, Laimbeer will present a check in the amount of $1,000 in that player's name to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Lead at 14. It was 3 at halftime.
You see the Bulls are now spreading the floor. 2 players on the offense on each side as Hodges comes off the double to leave Jordan open down the lane.
Works pretty well.
Well, Michael Jordan's waiting for the spread. And as wide as the offensive players for the Bulls are setting up, the Piston defenders have to follow them. They're too slow in getting down the lane in order to close it off.
And the lead is now 17. Thomas's shot at the buzzer, no good. A huge quarter for the Chicago Bulls. That's the end of the period with our score, Chicago 80, Detroit 63. We'll return after this message and a word from your local station. Chicago Bulls trying to even this best-of-7 series up at 3 games a week each. Explode for 33 points in quarter number 3. If there is a game 7, we'll have it for you Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. And right now, Chicago up by 17. They had a 1-point edge at the end of 1. They led by 3 at the half, and they outscored Detroit by 14 in quarter number 3. The Chicago Bulls, by the way, have never been to the NBA Finals. 1 year ago tonight, they were ousted by Detroit in Game 6. Armstrong, no. And Detroit went on, of course, and swept Los Angeles 4 games to none. Thomas at the other end.
Well, Isiah Thomas recognizes someone's got to step up offensively for his team. They haven't been getting good shots, and when they have, they haven't been putting them down. Someone's got to set the trend.
Kickball reset, 24 seconds.
In the 4th period, the game's in Detroit. 11 points. The game's in Chicago, 18 and 19. Well, he just had an 18-point third quarter, so See what he can do here. Held to 3 points in the last game's fourth quarter. Purdue. Hodges.
Detroit personal foul. Dennis Rodman. His fourth, the team's first.
That's 4 on Rodman.
Well, right now, the Bulls have to recognize, and that's all of them, that the good shots will come if they continue to move it. Will Purdue should realize that there's nothing that says he has to shoot that. There was still plenty of time on the clock. Now you go to your bread and butter and continue to move it until you find them.
Joe Dumars back in. Dennis Rodman will sit down. So it's going to be a three-guard offense now. Scottie Pippen replaces Will Purdue for Chicago. Johnson, Dumars, Isiah Thomas, along with Mark Aguirre and James Edwards on the floor for Detroit. Hodges and Armstrong join Pippen, Michael Jordan, and Horace Grant for Chicago.
Well, right now, Horace Grant has to guard James Edwards in the center spot. The Bulls trying to pressure to hide the weakness on defense that they have.
Isiah Thomas right to the basket.
That's what you do. You get by the wave of defenders and you take it to the basket. The Bulls have to disguise the fact that there's a mismatch. Edwards on Grant.
Craig Hodges. He's got 11 points. Thomas back to Vinnie Johnson, who sets with the three. Aguirre with the rebound. No basket. 3-second violation.
And that's a frustrated James Edwards. He knows he has an advantage. Mark Aguirre has an advantage when they go inside. Chuck Daly's got to figure out a way to get his team to recognize these things and not to rush shots. There's still plenty of time.
Jordan. Well, he had 9 at the half. He's got 29 now. Aguirre has it taken away.
And when you recognize the advantage, the guy has to do something with it.
Thomas gets it back. Aguirre for 2. Aguirre has 6 points. Pippen. On the shot clock. Chicago will inbound. Time has been called. 9 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals.
This NBA game summary is sponsored by Sears Craftsman. People who depend on tools depend on Craftsman.
Big edge thus far in three-point shooting by Chicago. Michael Jordan has his 29 points. Nothing unusual about that, nor Joe Dumars with 17 at this juncture. But the big difference thus far, Len Elmore, 21 points by the Chicago bench to only 12 for Detroit.
Well, certainly that's unexpected, but the fact is these guys have come off and they've held Detroit in check long enough to allow Michael Jordan to get off, and Michael Jordan has gotten off.
Right now, let's check in with Lesley Visser.
Vern, Chicago Bulls trainer Mark Files said he sent John Paxson down into the locker room to soak his ankle on ice. Vern.
During the timeout, John Paxson just couldn't go anymore on the bench. The pain a little bit too severe, so... Mark File taking John Paxson down. Jordan. Dumars for Detroit. Pistons shot 6 from 24 in the third quarter from the field. Chicago, meanwhile, 10 of 19 in quarter number 3. What a save by Jordan. Pippen, welcome to the broadcast, Scotty. I was hoping he'd head for you instead of me.
I thought you were going to take a charge on that one. But I tell you, it began with excellent defense by the Bulls, forcing a long shot by James Edwards. I think these guys want this game.
And at the other end, a foul called on James Edwards, his 5th. Under 9 minutes remaining. Armstrong.
Well, even though he hasn't converted, it's important that he continues to take the open ones. That way the defense has to play him honest, and I'm talking about B.J. Armstrong.
And here comes Isiah Thomas to join us. It's getting busy over here.
Armstrong battling all the way. The rookie against the veteran doing a nice job of fronting.
Back to play now with 8:25 remaining in the ball game. 85-69 Chicago. Michael Jordan with 18 third-quarter points. And that loose ball picked up by Scottie Pippen. Right into the arms of Vinnie Johnson.
Well, you get up in the air as Scottie Pippen did. You're always forced to do something, and usually it's something bad. Good foul there. It wasn't a breakaway foul because there was another offensive player ahead of him.
Edwards. Quickly in the corner, Dumars.
Dumars.
85-71. If there's a game 7, and that will happen if Chicago holds on to this lead, it'll be Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, the Palace at Auburn Hills. Pippen has the shot rejected, but gets it back.
Look how the floor is spread. Ideal for a drive.
No call.
And Grant doesn't see Hodges underneath.
Didn't need to.
It all works out when you do the right thing.
Lead back to 16. A 3-point ball game at the half. Dumars.
Dumars.
He's got 21. Isiah Thomas knocks it out of bounds.
Chicago.
And time has been called. Michael Jordan has 29. 20 of them in this half. Bulls are up.
Back here at Chicago Stadium, I was just down in the Chicago Bulls dressing room where John Paxson said he's having a lot of trouble walking. They don't even know how fit he's going to be for Game 7. He said he's going to take a shower, put on his street clothes, stick his foot in a big bucket of ice, and watch the rest of the game. Vern?
All right, Lesley, John Paxson, who injured his ankle back in the third quarter. Well, when things are going good, they really continue. Here's Vinnie Johnson, Scottie Pippen, and watch the end result of this battle.
You see number 14, Craig Hodges in the middle, screaming for the ball, but Scottie Pippen appears out of nowhere. And you create your own luck many times, and that was just pure hustle and heads-up play by both Grant and Pippen.
Look at Chicago from the perimeter, 19 of 33.
I was going to give Hodges a little credit on that, too, because he was in the right place at the right time. Didn't have a chance to be a hero, though.
Craig Hodges has been one of the stories of the game. He is, or did come on in place of John Paxson. Still on the court now, and Hodges with 2 3-pointers already in the ball game. And now they're warning Vinnie Johnson to get back. Intercepted by Isiah Thomas. 6:40 remaining in the ball game.
Chicago personal foul. Craig Hodges is
Hodges
first.
with the foul.
The team
Bulls
second.
have to be careful now not to get careless with passes, to take all the easy situations they can. Make the easy passes. Play some fundamental basketball rather than try to do the hard, spectacular things. They have the lead. Detroit has to come to them.
That's the first free throw of the night for Isiah Thomas.
Which is surprising because he has penetrated to the hoop numerous occasions, gotten some wide open layups. The Bulls must be doing a nice job of not putting him on the line and allowing those baskets. But now comes the time when you have to make sure you seal those off, make them work on the offensive end.
Scottie Pippen. Hodges for three.
And when Phil Jackson talked about confidence and shooting at home, I'm sure that's the guy he had in mind.
Isiah Thomas at the other end. Denny Johnson can't get it to fall. Jordan with the rebound. Chicago is 6 of 9 from three-point range. Vinnie Johnson with the foul. That's his third. Chuck Daly with the scowl. His 48th.
Well, certainly Michael Jordan having his hands on the ball increases the chances of something good happening for the Bulls. And Vinnie Johnson's foul was ill-advised.
Hodges with an ill-advised pass. Dumars, Isiah Thomas. Puts it up left-handed and arches it in nicely.
And with that type of play, you wonder why he had such a tough time in the beginning of this series in putting points on the board. He gets to the lane almost at will.
Hodges, 2. And Detroit at the other end. Johnson tipped away by Jordan, out of bounds. Detroit's ball. Well, every time in the playoffs, Detroit has allowed its opposition to score 100 points. They've lost. Right now, Chicago has 90 with 5:25 remaining. Mark Aguirre gets 2. Technical foul called on Horace Grant.
Unbelievable.
Technical foul, Horace Grant.
Horace Grant has got to realize this game is not over. You've got to keep your emotions in check, particularly when you have the advantage. You can't give the world champions anything.
Well, they could cut the lead to 10 with this free throw.
They look like a team that's just dodged a bullet aimed right at their heart, because that would have been a pin in somewhat of their balloon of emotion there to cut it to down to 10.
Hodges. And the crowd, about to be taken out of it, gets right back into it.
Edwards didn't know where he was, and he was trying to establish his position. The passer didn't recognize that Edwards didn't took his eye off the ball.
Joe Dumars gets whistled for this foul. Another inadvertent trip.
As the ball comes to you, nice execution there. It was actually a 2-on-2 play, but good basketball. The defender came over too far.
Traveling. Jackson remains placid.
Well, you know, that's very important now, because many times people say the reflection of a team is seen in its coach and vice versa. And if Phil Jackson stays calm, his team will stay fairly calm in the face of this Detroit onslaught.
Double team on Isiah Thomas. Hodges and Jordan both having at him.
Hodges is second.
Craig Hodges picks up the foul. Jordan has played all of this half with 3 fouls. Had to sit down late in the second quarter with his third. Isiah Thomas.
Chicago personal foul. Michael Jordan is fourth.
And having said that, Jordan picks up his fourth team foul, and Thomas will shoot.
Well, that's the Piston game plan right now. The post play isn't effective. A lot of the perimeter shooting is not effective. Isiah Thomas is now slashing through every opening he possibly can to create something. You've got to back off him just a bit right now and test the jumper again, because you know what he can do when he puts it on the floor and goes in.
Loose ball foul on Mark Aguirre. That's 3 on Aguirre. Edwards with 5 thus far. Laimbeer has not played much at all in this half. Rodman also has 4. Pippen, Cartwright, and Jordan, each with 4 for Chicago.
Well, the 3 big rebounders for Detroit in big foul trouble. You know, especially when they're not hitting offensively. They need those guys to crash the offensive boards. Detroit is not a great offensive team. Those are the things that help them score, getting the offensive boards, the second chance opportunities. And without their big 3 in there, they're finding it very difficult to put it in the basket. That's why Thomas has to keep his hands on the ball and create a lot of things, a lot of opportunities for the other players.
Back to 14 points, 4 minutes and 39 seconds remaining. The Bulls have been on top in this game since they went on top 18-17 back in the first quarter. And Scottie Pippen picks up his 5th foul.
Now, after Horace Grant got that technical, you saw Michael Jordan run to him and calm him down. He's also got to do the same to Scottie Pippen. You don't want to stop the clock, and you don't want to give easy opportunities, again, with fouls 30 feet from the basket. You dig in defensively. Again, make them come to you to a certain extent. There's no post player, true post player in there for the Pistons, so you don't have to worry about throwing the ball straight in. This is going to be a perimeter game for Detroit right now.
Well, once again, they cut the lead to 12. They can't get it down to single digits. They've been close on a couple of occasions here in the fourth quarter. Back it goes to Craig Hodges.
That's the sign of a guy that's got the feeling, no hesitation whatsoever.
And 16 points for Craig Hodges. Aguirre for 3, no. Jordan rebound. And Scottie Pippen will get it back in the hands of Michael Jordan to slow things down and work a bit on the clock.
And certainly that last possession of the Pistons pointed out, no post player. No one even came to the block, and Aguirre just took the perimeter shot.
Gerald Henderson getting ready to make a rare appearance for Detroit. Jordan, no. Behind the back, Dumars to Sally. And again, a 12-point margin, 3:35 to go. If there's a game 7, and that means if Chicago wins this one Sunday afternoon on CBS, 1 o'clock from the Palace at Auburn Hills. Hodges. That's 4 3-pointers for Craig Hodges. That equals the number of 3-point baskets he had in the first 5 games. He's been bothered with a back problem since the latter part of the season, and has just exploded at the most opportune time tonight for Chicago.
B.J. Armstrong.
Again, you get caught up in the emotion of the game, and you're getting yourself set. You get yourself in a rhythm, which Craig Hodges seems to have done, and he's been a big plus, to say the least, offensively.
announced that Michael Jordan took himself out of the game and is talking with Mark Feil, the trainer, right now on the Bulls bench. Cartwright.
Big rebound. Big rebound.
There's Michael. Pass underneath. Dumars for 2.
Well, 3 times down now. After a score, Detroit's been able to kick the ball down court. Poor balance by the Bulls. It's both ends of the court that they have to do it on right now.
Timeout, Detroit.
Time has been called. Michael Jordan with ice on his shooting hand, but the Bulls lead seems secure. Michael Jordan on the Chicago Bulls bench. An injured right wrist. It appears to be only slightly injured. Lenny, let's take a look at how it might have happened.
Well, he attempts to break his fall as he kind of trips over Joe Dumars. And watch his right hand right there on the left or the right foot of Isiah Thomas. Bends his fingers back, almost hyperextends them, it seems. And he has to grab it just a bit, his fingers and his wrist.
Well, Michael took himself out of the ball game. 9 points in the first half, 18 in that third quarter explosion.
Well, what's important about that and what's key is that it's his right wrist. And if there's any swelling or problem with it, it's going to affect him overnight. So we'll have to watch the status of him going into a Game 7 if it's possible.
B.J. Armstrong. William Bedford has come on the floor now for the Detroit Pistons. Bedford, Sally, Henderson, Vinnie Johnson, and Mark Aguirre. And we are 2 minutes and 5 seconds away from Game 7. Johnson, no. Aguirre, no again. Offensive foul.
Well, the Pistons have put in all their scorers, 3-point range guys, except for Bedford and Sally. And off the boards, a nice job by Will Perdue on the block, and Aguirre pushed off.
Mark's got a huge grin about it all. Every time Chicago has gone over the 100 mark against Detroit, they've won. That's twice before in the playoffs. Every time the Pistons have given up 100 in the playoffs in 1990, they've lost. That's 3 times.
We talked at the top of the show about the Pistons, if Game 7 was necessary, thinking about their lone loss in 2 years of playoff history at Auburn Hills was against the Bulls. And these Bulls are quite capable of going up there and taking one, sneaking one out of there.
That one victory was in the first game of last year's Eastern Conference Finals in Detroit. Chicago won that, split the series up there, wound up losing the series 4 games to 2 on the first Friday night in June in 1989. Such will not be the case in 1990. We're going to 7. 90 seconds to go. Henderson heads for the 3-point line in the corner. Grant. And a standing ovation for the Chicago Bulls.
Personal foul, John Sally is fourth. Penalty.
John Sally's 4th foul.
Scottie Pippen to the line. He shoots 2.
Coming in tonight, in the first 5 games, the Detroit bench averaged 32 points per game in this series. The Chicago bench averaged 15 points per game. Tonight, Chicago with 33 points off the bench, and the Pistons with 18.
And when we talked to Chuck Daly yesterday, how prophetic was his statements that this is not a one-man team, that the Bulls are now bigger, stronger, have more depth, and a different system, and he was worried about that.
Personal foul, Chicago. Will Purdue his 3rd.
He likened
Will Purdue picks up his 3rd.
Chuck Daly likened the Chicago attack to Michael Jordan beat a hub of a wheel with a lot of spokes out there doing the job. And that may not have been the case earlier. But in this particular game,
Shoots a pair.
Sally at the line. For John Sally, 9 points in the ball game. Final minute of Game 6. The Chicago Bulls led by 1 at the end of 1, by 3 at the half, by 17 at the end of 3, and the lead right now at 16 points.
His 1st.
Anderson picks up the foul. Game 7 from the Palace in Auburn Hills Sunday at 1 o'clock. The winner of this series gets the Portland Trail Blazers in the NBA Finals.
Stacey King in the ball game, replacing Horace Grant.
Armstrong has 6. Purdue with the foul.
Chicago personal foul, Craig Hodges.
Going to be a lot of unanswered questions going into the 7th game. You look at Dennis Rodman. On the other bench, Michael Jordan. These guys are hurting. John Paxson goes off with a sprained ankle. You know, those are important cogs in each team's attack. And so there are a lot of question marks. Both coaches are going to have to come up with alternatives.
Now, what about Game 7? Rodman's ankle, he's played on a gimpy ankle. John Paxson appeared to have a quite serious injury of his ankle. Michael Jordan took himself out with a sore wrist after taking the fall. 107-91. The explosion in this game came in quarter number 3. Michael Jordan with 18 points. That's almost expected of him, but Craig Hodges had a huge game in the second half tonight as the Chicago bench proved to be the unexpected difference in this ball game.
Look at B.J. Armstrong. You know, you don't have to score a lot to contribute. He did a lot of nice things out there in running the attack and pressing, creating opportunities for his team, easy opportunities. Everyone gets a pat on the back for the Chicago Bulls. The Pistons have to go back and take a look at themselves and a look at their aggressiveness, which was more or less missing here, particularly in the beginning of the game where they just didn't show that usual aggressiveness on defense that they normally do.
We'll let the crowd bring it home. That's a wave that says we're going to Detroit for Game 7. And how has Detroit fared in previous Game 7s? They haven't won one. Let's go to Lesley Visser with Michael Jordan.
Michael, apparently there is no place like home. What was the difference tonight?
Well, I think everybody was inspired. We knew that our back was to the wall. The young guys came in and gave us a good job. Craig Hodges really came out of his slump, and his three-pointers really helped us today.
What about you? Were you a little bit fatigued, and was your wrist a little bit sore?
No, I felt good. I fell on my wrist, and it really started bothering me, and it was hindering my shot a little bit. But, you know, we had the game under control, and when I went out, Phil just kept me out, and the guys really took it to them.
What about going back to Detroit? Phil Jackson says you're more driven than ever to win an NBA title.
I am, and I think this team is. And we're going to the 7th game with a clear mind, all guts on the floor, and see what happens.
Great, thank you, Michael. Let's go over to Pat O'Brien.
Pat is standing by, but in the meantime, we'll take it back here at the desk as the Chicago Bulls win it 109-91. Back in a moment. Chicago Bulls win it 109-91 to force a Game 7 Sunday afternoon back in Detroit. Series now tied at 3-3, and Craig Hodges gave this team a huge lift. He broke out of an enormous shooting slump, 19 points tonight, 7 of 9 from the field, including 4 of 4 from three-point range. On his behalf, Miller Lite donates a check in the amount of $1,000 to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, and Len and I will be back to talk more about the game right after this message. Key in the ball game was a third-quarter explosion tonight. A three-point halftime edge for Chicago became a 17-point edge at the end of 3. So the Bulls evened it up 3-3. I'm going to give you a chance to offend all of the people in Detroit or all of the folks in Chicago. Who do you like in Game 7?
Well, if Chicago could find a way to pack these 2 baskets up and take them with them and exchange them, I'd favor the Bulls. But they haven't proven that they can shoot in Detroit. The Pistons are always more aggressive, more risk-taking when they're up there, and they assert themselves. And, you know, I would say it's still going to be a close game, but I have to go with the home team.
Well, there is a reason Detroit is the defending world champions. Game 7 coming up. Bulls and Pistons Sunday at 1 o'clock. And so for Len Elmore, Lesley Visser, and Pat O'Brien, this is Vern Lundquist saying so long from Chicago Stadium, where our final score tonight, the Bulls 109, the Detroit Pistons 91.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Basketball Association Eastern Conference Finals has been sponsored by Plymouth and your local Plymouth dealers, who invite you to test drive a Plymouth today. Sears Craftsman, people who depend on tools depend on craftsmen. And by Miller Genuine Draft, when things heat up in the NBA, tap into the cold.
The NBA on CBS is a presentation of CBS Sports.